The Khan family, friendly neighbors, devoted parents, and a model of respectability. Or so everyone thought. In reality, they were at the center of a £14 million drug smuggling network that spanned multiple countries. Every shipment was calculated, every lie rehearsed, and every move designed to stay one step ahead of the law, until law enforcement finally caught up. The Khan family seemed like the picture of success in a quiet Manchester suburb. Their brick home, with its neatly trimmed garden and polished driveway, looked like it belonged in a lifestyle magazine. Friends and neighbors admired the family's generosity, often recalling how Mr. Khan would donate to local charities and how Mrs. Khan volunteered at community events. Their children excelled in school and sports, winning awards and making the family a source of pride for the neighborhood. On the surface, nothing about the Khans suggested anything out of the ordinary. But appearances can be deceiving. Behind the carefully maintained exterior of their suburban life, a world of secrecy and danger thrived. Late at night, deliveries arrived at their homes and businesses that seemed entirely ordinary to the casual observer. Boxes labeled with innocuous commercial brands were carefully tucked away, their true contents hidden under layers of deception. The Khan family's life was built on a duality so flawless that even close friends failed to notice the contradiction. Their ordinary routines, school runs, weekend grocery trips, and family gatherings masked a dangerous, calculated rhythm of crime. For years, the family had built a network of contacts across Europe, establishing relationships with suppliers, transporters, and even corrupt officials. What started as small-scale involvement in importing goods eventually escalated into something far larger. A covert operation, moving millions of pounds worth of cocaine across borders. Each member of the family had a role, from managing shipments to handling finances and logistics. Their operation was meticulous, almost corporate in its precision, yet carefully hidden beneath the facade of respectability. Locals often spoke of the family's charm, their polite manners, and their outwardly ordinary habits. No one could have guessed that the very people they waved to every morning were orchestrating one of the most sophisticated drug operations in the country. Even the authorities at first found nothing to suspect. The Khans were careful, blending seamlessly into the community, leaving no obvious traces of their illicit activities. But in the shadows, cracks were beginning to appear. Small inconsistencies in travel, unexplained wealth, and shipments that didn't quite add up. These cracks would eventually widen, setting the stage for an investigation that would expose the hidden world behind the Khan family's perfect suburban life. The first cracks in the Khan family's seemingly perfect facade began to appear at Manchester Airport. On the surface, their international travels looked routine: holiday trips to Spain, business trips to the Netherlands, and occasional weekend flights to London. To most observers, nothing seemed unusual, but airport officials, trained to notice patterns, began to see inconsistencies. The frequency of the Khans' flights was unusual for a family running small businesses, and the destinations they frequented were known hubs for drug trafficking networks. At first, each journey seemed innocent enough. Customs officers inspected luggage, passports were scanned, and security checks were completed without incident. The Khans maintained an unremarkable profile, avoiding scrutiny through careful planning and precise timing. Yet, behind the polished smiles and professional demeanor, there were subtle signs that something was amiss. Officers noticed that the family rarely traveled together in a predictable pattern, often sending different members on separate flights with precise coordination. Small discrepancies in travel documents, unexplained extra baggage, and unusually large cash withdrawals were quietly flagged in official reports. Authorities began to dig deeper, reviewing travel logs and cross-referencing passenger manifests. Each piece of information painted a slowly emerging picture. The family's trips weren't vacations or casual business visits. They were part of a larger, meticulously organized operation. Investigators suspected that the Khans were moving illicit goods under the radar, using their family businesses as a cover for transportation and storage. Every flight, every package, and every transaction seemed carefully choreographed to avoid detection. The breakthrough came when a routine inspection of cargo shipments linked to the cons revealed inconsistencies that could no longer be ignored. Packages appeared on manifests without clear descriptions or declared values, and the frequency of shipments exceeded what would be expected for small-scale trade. Suspicion grew that the family had perfected the art of hiding illegal activity in plain sight, exploiting the trust and invisibility afforded to ordinary citizens. What started as a quiet observation at the airport was beginning to build into a full investigation. The authorities realized that beneath the polished exterior of the Khan family lay a carefully constructed network capable of transporting enormous quantities of illegal drugs. Each flight and shipment became a piece of the puzzle, slowly unraveling the story of a family whose charm and respectability masked a hidden, dangerous life. The first concrete evidence of the Khan family's illicit activities came unexpectedly, hidden in plain sight. A routine customs inspection of a shipment, addressed to one of their small businesses, revealed something that would shock authorities. The shipment, disguised as ordinary merchandise, contained several tightly wrapped packages that immediately raised suspicion. Lab tests confirmed the truth. The packages were filled with high-grade cocaine, valued at an astonishing $14 million. The scale of the seizure stunned investigators. This was no small-time smuggling operation. It was a sophisticated, highly organized network capable of moving enormous quantities of drugs across borders. What made the discovery even more alarming was the realization of how carefully the Khans had hidden their activities. The shipment appeared completely legitimate to anyone conducting a casual inspection. Boxes were labeled as everyday consumer goods. Paperwork was meticulously completed, and the family had even created fake invoices to maintain the illusion of legality. It was clear that years of planning had gone into perfecting this system. Every detail, from packaging to documentation, was designed to make the operation look like nothing more than standard business activity. Investigators began piecing together a pattern. The family's businesses, once thought to be small and unremarkable, were actually central hubs in a larger smuggling network. Each store acted as a waypoint for shipments, a front for moving drugs in and out of the country. Surveillance footage revealed family members overseeing shipments and coordinating with unknown individuals in foreign countries. Encrypted messages suggested that the family had perfected communication methods that could evade law enforcement detection, making the operation both efficient and highly secretive. The scale of the operation also revealed the risks the Khans were willing to take. Moving £14 million worth of cocaine required precise timing, coordination and an understanding of airport security, customs regulations, and international shipping. Every flight, every cargo shipment, and every transaction was planned to avoid attention, demonstrating a level of sophistication rarely seen in family-run operations. The seizure was more than just a victory for customs officers. It was the first glimpse into a hidden world the public had never imagined. Behind the Khan family's polite smiles and neighborhood respectability lay a criminal enterprise that had evaded detection for years. The discovery of that first shipment set the stage for a deeper investigation, one that would slowly unravel the family's entire network and reveal the shocking extent of their involvement in a multi-million-pound drug trade. As investigators delved deeper into the Khan family's activities, a complex network began to emerge, one that stretched far beyond Manchester and even the United Kingdom. The seizure of the £14 million shipment was only the tip of the iceberg. Surveillance footage, financial records, and phone intercepts revealed a sophisticated web of contacts spanning several European countries, including Spain, the Netherlands, and Belgium. What initially appeared to be a small-scale smuggling operation was in fact an international criminal enterprise, carefully orchestrated by the family. The Khans operated with remarkable precision. Each family member had a specific role. Some coordinated shipments, others managed financial transactions, and others liaised with suppliers and buyers abroad. Investigators discovered encrypted messages containing cryptic codes that at first seemed meaningless. Over time, these codes were decoded to reveal schedules for flights, shipments, and delivery routes. The family's ability to communicate in secret, even under close surveillance, demonstrated a level of planning usually reserved for corporate logistics teams rather than criminal operations. Authorities also uncovered a series of hidden drop points across Europe. Warehouses, shipping containers, and even legitimate businesses were used to conceal large quantities of cocaine. Each shipment was routed carefully to minimize the risk of interception, often passing through multiple countries before returning to the UK. The cons had built an operation that relied on layers of deception, exploiting legal loopholes and the trust of those around them. Even some employees in the family's businesses were unknowingly involved, handling shipments without realizing their true contents. The investigation revealed that the family's network extended beyond simple smuggling. Money laundering schemes were carefully woven into the business operations. Cash generated from illegal sales was funneled through legitimate businesses, disguising its origin. Properties, luxury goods, and even small investments became part of a system designed to obscure the trail of wealth accumulated from criminal activities. By this point, investigators realized they were dealing with more than just a family running a few illegal shipments. The cons had constructed a criminal empire capable of operating under the radar for years. Every detail of their operation, from encrypted communications to hidden warehouses, demonstrated an intelligence and meticulousness that made the network almost untouchable. The more authorities uncovered, the clearer it became. Dismantling this operation would require patience, precision, and a level of coordination as detailed and complex as the network itself. Inside the Khan family's home, the contrast between their public image and private reality was staggering. To neighbors, the house was a model of domestic perfection: tidy gardens, spotless interiors, and the faint aroma of home-cooked meals. Family photos lined the walls, trophies gleamed on shelves, and behind the calm, orderly walls of a seemingly ordinary family home. The investigation took a dramatic turn when authorities traced one of the Khan family's shipments to a major port in Spain. At first it seemed like a straightforward lead. A shipment flagged for inspection due to inconsistencies in its documentation. Spanish police were ready to intercept it, expecting to uncover evidence that could further unravel the family's operations. But the cons had anticipated such moves, demonstrating a level of foresight and planning that left investigators both impressed and frustrated. The shipment arrived at the port, carefully labeled as routine commercial goods. Yet inside, hidden compartments concealed kilograms of high-grade cocaine. When officers attempted to intercept it, they discovered that the cargo had already been rerouted through a network of alternative routes. Ingeniously, the cons had created multiple layers of deception. Packages were split and sent in smaller shipments, often disguised as different types of merchandise, and each had its own tracking system to avoid drawing attention. Even seasoned law enforcement officers were momentarily outmaneuvered by the family's intricate system. This incident revealed the audacity of the cons' operation. Rather than relying on luck, they had studied ports, customs procedures, and security loopholes to build a network capable of evading international authorities. Each shipment was a calculated risk, timed and routed with precision to minimize exposure. Investigators realized that the family's operation wasn't just local, it was transnational, with every detail carefully orchestrated to maintain control over a vast and dangerous network. Yet even the most meticulous plans have vulnerabilities. Spanish authorities eventually discovered one small inconsistency. A shipment registered under a slightly different name than usual. It was a minor oversight, almost imperceptible, but enough to expose a crack in the Khan family's otherwise flawless system. This tiny error became the foothold law enforcement needed to begin unraveling the network. The episode in Spain marked a turning point in the investigation. For the first time, authorities had concrete proof of the cons' international reach and the lengths they would go to evade detection. It was also a warning. No matter how sophisticated or well hidden their operations seemed, even a single mistake could bring everything crashing down. The family's confidence had been shaken, and investigators sensed that the moment of reckoning was approaching, one that would eventually expose the true scale of the criminal empire operating under the guise of an ordinary family life. The investigation reached a critical stage when law enforcement decided to infiltrate the Khan family's operation with an undercover officer. This move required extreme caution. Any hint of suspicion could alert the family and destroy months of painstaking work. The officer assumed the identity of a potential buyer, carefully cultivating a presence that would appear legitimate without raising alarms. Weeks of patient observation followed, during which every movement, interaction, and transaction was recorded and analyzed. The undercover officer quickly discovered the sophistication of the Khan family's methods. Meetings were never conducted in the open. Instead, they took place in discreet airport lounges, rented office spaces, or secluded warehouses. Instructions were passed using coded language, encrypted messaging apps, and hand signals that seemed innocuous to outsiders. Every shipment, every contact, and every payment was carefully documented in ways that would have been nearly impossible to detect without inside access. What made the family particularly dangerous was their ability to compartmentalize operations. Different members handled separate aspects of the business, and information was shared only on a strict need-to-know basis. This system prevented outsiders, even employees, from understanding the full scope of the network. Yet the undercover officer was able to witness the coordination firsthand, watching as family members meticulously planned shipments, verified contacts, and ensured payments were distributed through a web of legal and illegal channels. The undercover operation also revealed the family's reliance on technology to maintain secrecy. Encrypted devices, burner phones, and coded software ensured that no unencrypted communications existed. Surveillance cameras within warehouses and homes allowed the Khans to monitor movements and detect potential threats, including law enforcement activity. Their security protocols were so sophisticated that only someone embedded within the network could gather meaningful evidence. Over time, the officer collected irrefutable proof of the family's criminal enterprise. Recorded transactions, photographs of hidden compartments, and intercepted coded communications created a detailed map of the operation from start to finish. Each day spent undercover brought investigators closer to understanding the full scale of the network, the methods used to evade authorities, and the enormous sums of money involved. By the time the officer withdrew, law enforcement had a blueprint for dismantling the operation, ready to move in with precision and finally confront the family that had eluded capture for so long. The morning of the arrests was cold and rainy, the kind of day that seemed to amplify tension. Law enforcement had meticulously planned the operation for months, coordinating with multiple agencies across the UK and Europe. Every detail was calculated to ensure that the Khan family could be apprehended simultaneously at their home, warehouses, and business locations. The goal was clear: prevent any chance of destruction of evidence or escape. Police moved in just as the family was beginning their day. At the suburban home, officers found the front door unlocked, a calculated decision by the Khans to maintain their appearance of normalcy. Inside, the scene confirmed suspicions that had long lingered. Hidden compartments revealed bundles of cash, ledgers filled with coded transactions, and evidence of ongoing shipments. Investigators noted the same meticulous organization they had seen throughout the undercover operation, but this time there was no one to hide behind the facade of a family home. Simultaneously, raids were conducted at warehouses where shipments were stored. Officers discovered high-grade cocaine, sophisticated packaging equipment, and digital records mapping the family's transnational network. Each location held layers of evidence showing the sheer scale and complexity of the operation. Investigators marveled at how the family had managed to operate undetected for years, but the simultaneous raids ensured that there would be no escape this time. The arrests themselves were carefully executed. Each family member was taken into custody without incident, though the gravity of the situation was palpable. Neighbors watched in disbelief as the family that had once been admired and trusted was led away in handcuffs. For the authorities, it was the culmination of months of surveillance, analysis, and risk. The operation represented not only the seizure of illegal substances and assets, but also the dismantling of a sophisticated criminal enterprise. Evidence collected during the raids revealed the full scale of the family's operations. Shipments spanning multiple countries, encrypted communications, and financial records, showing millions of pounds laundered through legitimate businesses. The arrest marked a turning point, turning years of speculation and investigation into concrete results. The Khan family, once seen as a model of suburban respectability, was now publicly exposed as orchestrators of one of the most sophisticated drug operations in recent British history. What had been a hidden world of deception, secrecy, and danger was finally laid bare. The trial of the Khan family captivated the nation, revealing details that seemed almost unbelievable, given their quiet suburban life. Courtrooms were filled with the weight of evidence, from intercepted communications to photographs of hidden compartments and documents detailing multi-million-pound drug shipments. Prosecutors painted a vivid picture of a family that had lived a double life for years, carefully orchestrating an international cocaine operation while maintaining the illusion of ordinary respectability. Witnesses testified about the family's methods, describing encrypted phones, coded ledgers, and secret drop points that had allowed them to operate undetected. The undercover officer's testimony was crucial, providing first-hand insight into the family's coordination, secrecy, and audacity. Every day in court revealed another layer of sophistication: shipments routed through multiple countries, money laundered through legitimate businesses, and an organizational structure that resembled a corporate enterprise, rather than a criminal operation. Perhaps the most shocking revelations came from the evidence collected inside the family home. Hidden rooms, cleverly concealed compartments, and detailed records of international contacts showcased the lengths to which the Khans had gone to hide their crimes. For neighbors and friends, it was almost impossible to reconcile the charming, charitable family they knew with the image being presented in court. The public followed every development closely, astonished by the contrast between the suburban facade and the criminal empire operating behind closed doors. Financial records played a key role in the proceedings, demonstrating how the family had converted millions in illicit earnings into seemingly legitimate assets. Properties, businesses, and luxury goods were all part of a carefully constructed web designed to obscure the source of wealth. Prosecutors argued that the sophistication of this system made the Khans exceptionally dangerous, capable of continuing their operation without detection if not for